Welcome back from the break. We have Eric Markham joining us today with his opinion on the top picks for the NFL Draft.
With the NFL Draft coming up on Saturday, the Lions haven't announced what they're going to do with that first-round pick. What do you think they should do, Eric?
Well, the NFL Draft pick, there's two different kinds of NFL Draft picks. You got the need-based picks, and you also have the best available player picks. And I think the Lions definitely need a quarterback. I mean, and just to pass up on a guy like Matthew Stafford out of Georgia would be just simply a silly mistake. Then the next two picks are going to be safe offensive tackle picks. The Rams are probably going to go with Jason Smith out of Baylor, and Kansas City is probably going to go with Eugene Monroe out of Virginia. At number 4, Seattle will make one of those best player available picks and take arguably the most NFL-ready players in the draft, Aaron Curry. He's an outside linebacker out of Wake Forest. Then Cleveland's going to round out the next top 5 with a speedy defensive end, Brian Orakpo out of Texas.
All right, well, if that all goes to plan, how do you think the rest of the top 10 will pan out?
Well, I mean, with the next two picks, might be risky, but they do have a lot of upside. Cincinnati's going to go with offensive tackle Andre Smith, who's known for work ethic issues and might be a little overweight, but he has a lot of upside, like I said. And Al Davis and the Raiders are probably going to go with future diva personality Michael Crabtree out of Texas Tech. And then Jacksonville's going to take the best defensive tackle in the draft, B.J. Raji from Boston College. And the first Big Ten player taken should be Aaron Maben from Penn State to the Green Bay Packers. And finally, the 49ers will need to boost their aging wide receiver core with Jeremy Maclin from Missouri.
Also, I know there will be a few Boilermakers potentially in the draft. Where do you think they'll end up?
Well, the first guy taken is probably going to be Alex McGee, who's a defensive tackle, probably in the 3rd round. And then not far behind him will be running back Corey Sheets, who will probably be a late 3rd round, early 4th round draft pick. And then Curtis Painter did struggle in his senior season, but he's still expected to get drafted in the 7th and final round.
All right, thanks, Eric. Now that we've seen the future of professional football, let's take a look at the future of Boilermaker football with some highlights from the Purdue Black and Gold game.
At Ross-Ade Stadium, the annual Black and Gold game showcased some of the current talent on the Boilers, but left some questions unanswered as well. One of the main issues the Boilermakers face is that they have 3 quarterbacks, 2 of which have never taken a collegiate snap, while the other one, Joey Elliott, only has limited experience. The other QB competing with Elliott is Caleb Terbush, who's a freshman, and he's almost had identical numbers this spring.
With quarterback Justin Siller being dismissed from the team, new head coach Danny Hope has a couple more choices at quarterback. He mostly played 5th-year senior Joey Elliott as well as redshirt freshman Caleb Terbush. We also saw a little bit of action from other 5th-year senior Chris Bennett. We'll see what his final choice is when they take on Toledo on September 5th right here in Ross-Ade Stadium.
In 3 spring scrimmages and the Black and Gold game, Terbush had 624 yards, 2 TDs, and 2 picks while completing 54.6% of his passes. Joey Elliott only had 499 yards, but with 3 touchdowns and 2 picks on 54.5% passing. Caleb Terbush is expected to be the backup, while Elliott is still the frontrunner for the starting job. He had a decent amount of time last year and has most experience of the two. One pleasant surprise was the spring performance of running back Ralph Bolden. In the absence of Jason Taylor, he had 420 yards on 66 carries with 4 touchdowns and 4 scrimmages. All this against arguably the strength of the Purdue football squad, Coach Terrell Williams' defensive line, headed by defensive end Ryan Kerrigan and defensive tackle Mike Neal. They battled up against new offensive line coach Sean Clark and his crew this spring, who matched up well against them. All in all, Coach Danny Hope will have a lot of holes to fill with a loss of 3 pros from this season and a legendary head coach in Joe Tiller.
In today's weather notes, we'll learn about tornadoes and get details on how they form. Let's go to Brian in the Weather Center for more information.
What we're looking at right now is just a regular everyday image that we see across the United States and across the world of just a real-life tornado. But that begs the question, what really is the definition of a tornado? Well, it is a violently rotating column of air that extends between and comes in contact with a cloud and the surface of the earth. But then we have to ask ourselves, well, how do tornadoes really form inside of thunderstorms? Well, how that happens is you get weak winds that form along the ground, and then you get some stronger winds that form higher up in the atmosphere. Now, what that does is that creates this horizontal column of rotating air. Now, as a thunderstorm starts to develop and mature, you see a very strong updraft form, and what that does is it lifts that horizontally rotating column of air, and if we see a strong enough downdraft, it will actually drop it all the way to the ground, thus forming a tornado. But once we know how a tornado forms in our atmosphere, How do you find a tornado if you're looking at a radar image? Well, here we've got a Doppler radar image, and you can see we've got this hook echo on the southwest side of this thunderstorm. Now, this is a classic image for a tornado. You can see right where my finger's at. That's where the tornado is located. But look to the area just to the southwest. This area down here, that's actually where we're picking up a debris field from a tornado. So this thunderstorm would be prompting a tornado warning, and we would have to keep a close eye out. But what if for some reason we see thunderstorms on a radar that doesn't really have that hook echo? Well, you can see this thunderstorm cell here doesn't really have that hook on the southwest side, so we turn to another map that we call the storm relative winds, or the relative motion inside the thunderstorm. The green areas are winds that are coming into the storm, and the red areas are winds that are blowing out of the storm. Now, the areas that you see, the green and the red, the brightest, that's areas that we see high vorticity numbers and high amounts of wind shear, which would tell us as meteorologists and also meteorologists at the National Weather Service, hey, this part of the thunderstorm we need to watch out for, even though there's not a clear-cut signal that there is a tornado. And then also, we've got radar images that we normally see that are moving in motion. Well, here's this thunderstorm cell. Watch this middle one here as it resets. Watch it form that hook echo on that southwest side as it moves off to the northeast. That's what we watch as meteorologists to really clue us off as to what thunderstorms we need to be especially watching with a careful eye. Now, we do have a scale that we do classify tornadoes according to their intensity. It's called the Enhanced Fujita Scale. You can see some of these numbers here. An EF3 tornado has winds of 136 to 165 miles per hour. That'll do it for this week's Weather Notes. I'm Brian Wolf in the Weather Center.
Energy conservation is a big concern for Purdue's College of Technology. Currently, students and professors are focusing on the importance of energy-efficient transportation. With the help of a new contraption, they hope to find a better solution to energy waste. Stephen George has more.
Purdue students and professors of the College of Technology are working hard to find solutions that could help the development of greener vehicles. Recently, they have created an electrically powered energy testing tricycle to conduct their research.
This design is unique in the sense that we deliver the energy or electrical power right into the wheel. We used hub wheel motor. So when you use the hub wheel motor, that means motor is in the hub. So we send the electrical signal and make it to turn and check where the position is, and then send another signal. It has a built-in the device that communicate to you about how much energy is delivered to the motor, how much energy is transferred to the capacitor, what is the historical data.
The tricycle features a reclining seat with pedals located in the front and handlebars on the sides used for steering. The research on this tricycle was applied to controllers, battery configurations, charging devices, and motor drives. The tricycle was constructed within Purdue's International Rectifier Power, Electronics Development and Application Lab. It is here that research focuses on how to improve the efficiency of electronically controlled DC motors.
The goal we have is to come up with a system that is the consume least amount of energy, and you can produce at the least cost. The cost is important, otherwise people will never use it.
This research is important because these electrical powered motors just might replace the mechanical powered motors that are used today. For Fast Track News, I'm Stephen George.
After the break, we'll catch up with a local celebrity and hear how he has made an impact on Purdue's campus.
And we'll also get a look at your summer concert preview in this week's community calendar. Stay with us.
Have some time to spare in between classes, then stop on by Purdue University Gallery and Stewart Center to view some of Purdue's most artistic works of art. March 9th to April 26th is the Urban Legends and Rural Myths exhibit. This exhibit features contemporary art that inspires new myths, imagined histories, and tall tales. Come visit the exhibit Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. or Sunday from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. For more information on this exhibit, visit www.purdue.edu/galleries.